A company got caught using child labor in their businesses with 13 facilities in 8 different states. Um, they were using they hired like 100 different minors, and they were only required to pay $1.5 million fine.
I want to show you a headline. Federal officials say more than 100 children worked in dangerous jobs for slaughterhouse cleaning firm. Now, that is not a headline that was from a 100-year-old newspaper. This is from today, which maybe you guessed because, yes, it has the peacock logo and it looks like it's on the internet. But regardless, the Labor Department today announced that one of the largest food sanitation companies in the country paid $1.5 million in fines for violating child labor laws, saying they used more than 100 children, some as young as 13, to work hazardous and high-risk cleaning jobs in overnight shifts in meatpacking plants across 8 states in the South and Midwest.
Well, they're having kids work at meatpacking plants. Yeah, these people are sanitizing equipment and packing meat. It's kind of no wonder sometimes we have contaminated meat because these companies are trying to avoid paying actual wages to people by hiring kids.
The children used caustic chemicals to clean razor-sharp saws, including a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old who sustained chemical burns on the job. According to investigators, the 14-year-old worked the overnight shift, then went to school and fell asleep in classes or missed school entirely. The company says it has a zero-tolerance policy against employing anyone under the age of 18 and that it is fully committed to working with the Department of Labor to make additional improvements to
Well, a zero tolerance policy against employing anyone under the age of 18, yet there's 102 minors that were employed. How, how does anyone get away with hiring these people with nobody in the upper management finding out about that? Nah, the company doesn't have a zero tolerance policy. They just claim to.
enforce that policy. Regardless, now is probably not a good time for a new bill in Iowa, which was introduced by a Republican state lawmaker just a few weeks ago to address worker shortages. The bill would reportedly expand working hours for teenagers during the school year and allow children as young as 14 to work in certain jobs in meat packing plants, like industrial freezers and meat coolers, so long as they are separated from where the meat is prepared.
Wow, yeah, and this is Republicans. All they're doing is try to regress society back to where we have kids working um, in order to live, instead of just being able to, as, Republicans say, kids be kids. They don't want kids to be kids. They want kids to be working as early as possible in order to sustain capitalism.
Lawmakers who support this bill say the teens would be participating in a job training program. But opponents are hearkening back to the early 1900s, before federal regulations prohibited children from working hazardous jobs. And they're saying there's a reason our society said that it is not appropriate for children to work in those conditions. And then there is this. The proposed bill would protect businesses from liability if a child worker is sickened or hurt or killed on the job.
Wow, the bill shields the company from death of the kid, so they can make the conditions as hazardous as possible, and they won't get in trouble. And supposedly Republicans care about kids, yet they want this to happen. That's just honestly sickening.